So now that we have our model set up, let's go over how we can get some data into our tables. Now the first way to do it is what's called seeding the database, where we will create these seeder classes which can then be ran to insert some random values into our database, so we could start developing quickly. The second way is using models straight up and sort of manipulating and inserting data through there. Now that second option is what you're going to be using 99% of the time, but if you have these seeders set up, it's really easy to start messing around with data quickly. So if you look on the left-hand side here, we have a databases/seeds directory, and inside here we have a users table seeder already. Now all a seeder is we register a factory, which we created right here. Now this factory returns a dictionary, and in this case, it seeds the users table, which we imported up here. This is the users model. And we're just returning a name, an email, and a password. So this password is just secret. Now, if we open up our database client and look at our users table, we could refresh and we have no users. So let's go ahead and use this user table seeder. All we have to do is run craft seed run, and this runs all of our seeds. So currently we only have one. So let's go ahead and run that. And down here we see database seeded. Going back to our users table, if we refresh, we now have 50 users, all with random values, except the password. The password is all secret. So when we go to authenticate as them, we will use our email, password will be secret. So now let's set one up for projects. Let's clear this out. Now in order to create a seeder, we could say craft seed, and then we'll name it. So you can name this whatever you want. We'll name it project. And a project table seeder was generated. Again, on the left side, databases/seeds/project table seeder. So the first thing we need to do, since we're using it for our project model, is import it. So from @.project import project. Now, once that's done, we'll need to create a factory and then register it, just like we saw previously. So that's really simple. We'll just call this project factory, which takes a instance of Faker, and we'll need it to return a dictionary here. So remember from our project model, we needed name, description, and a manager ID. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll return a name, a description, and a manager ID. So now, since we have a instance of Faker, we can use that. So this instance of Faker is just the Faker library. So you can type in Python Faker into Google, and you should get this documentation here. So for name, we'll just put a company name for now. So we could say faker.company. So the name of our projects will be company names. A description, we'll use faker.sentence. Let's make that paragraph. So if you actually go to Lorem, you'll see there's a couple of them. So we have fake sentence, words, and this is the paragraph here. Now the manager ID, if you remember, we created 50 users. So we'll just create a random integer. So random.randint between 1 and 50. Right? So these will be the foreign keys to the user table. So once that's done, we'll just register it in the run method. So faker.register, and we'll register the project and the factory, which was just this method here. Lastly, we'll tell it to create. So we'll create project, we'll create 50 of them. Now that's it. Our seeder is done. Now let's go ahead and run it. So remember that craft seed run ran all of them, but we don't want to create 50 more users. So we'll specify the seeder that we want to run. In this case, we want to run the project seeder. Oh, and it's not Faker, it's factory, right? So we want to register the factory, not the Faker. So let's go ahead and run it again. And it created, and it looked like it worked. So let's go ahead and go back to our database client. So again, we had 50 users. Now we have 50 projects. Now here, if you look at the manager ID, these are all now foreign keys to the users table. Now we could start using this data. And next, we'll talk a bit more about models themselves and how to add and modify data with them. I'll see you then.